Hey guys, it's Jesse from PS4Daily.com here, and I'm interviewing Adam Rippon of Muteki Corporation. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. E3 is booming, and this is my second day at E3, so I'm enjoying it. So, tell the guys what you have over here.
Well, I've got Dragon Fantasy Book 1, which I've been porting to the 3DS. We've added a bunch of new features, and I appear to have lost my stylus. But we've added a bunch of new features. There's no longer random battles in the dungeons. The monsters are actually walking around, and when you encounter them, then you'll go into a battle. It's kind of similar to what we did with Book 2, but it works more like the closest example is Lufia 2 on the Super Nintendo. It's very similar to that, in fact. Yeah. And let's see, what else have we added? We've got a mini map on the bottom screen, which is handy. And we added all the bestiary stuff and the stuff that we had in Book 2, plus a couple just other revisions to the menu system, make it a little easier to play.
So, like, were most of these changes that you did from Book 1 on like the PS Vita and PS3 a direct cause of feedback from fans when they played Book 1 and Book 2?
Absolutely, yeah. Everything that I've been adding has been either something that somebody's asked for or just something that I want. I mean, I'm a huge RPG gamer, and I always am trying to refine this stuff because I want it to be, I want it to be everything I want in an RPG, both games. And they're both very different takes on it, but I'm continually trying to refine it, especially now that I'm working at Choice Provisions now. Also, this has become something that's more of like a passion project for me rather than a. I no longer have to make these games sell super well to make my sandwich money. So I can spend a lot of time just kind of continually tweaking them and making them better. And that's what I wanted from the beginning with the games. So it's a good place for me to be in.
This is kind of off topic, but the changes that you've made in Book 1 for the 3DS, could we expect to see those in the PS Vita and PS3 version?
Absolutely, yeah. The 3DS version will get them first, and then we'll start backporting them. It takes a little while. I'm making now that I have a day job and I can actually afford to pay testers from time to time, I'm making sure that everything is better tested than Book 1 and Book 2 were on the PlayStation, because that was literally just me playing the game over and over and over again. Me and Bill at Muteki for the most part, and my wife helped out with Book 2. But it's a lot for a single guy, and his friends to take on, So, yeah, I'm doing my best.
So, depending on how well this is received by 3DS gamers, reviewers, that kind of thing, could we expect to see Book 2 on 3DS?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm already working on it. It's not nearly as far along as this, but it's definitely, very high on my list of things to do.
And will that also undergo any gameplay changes or anything like that?
So I'm adding a few extra scenes to the game, little story bits that I want to kind of correct. The game was, Book 2, honestly, it was pretty rushed at the end. We had a date that we had to make, and we did everything we could to make it, and I think the game suffered a little bit because of it. And so I've been taking the time to really kind of fix some of those issues. For example, the middle of the game, when Ogden is in South Cape, there was supposed to be a big boss battle there, and nothing actually happens. I had to cut it because we didn't have time, and I thought at the time I'd done a good job of stitching it together, but I want to fix it. So I'm working on that, and so you'll see a lot of that in Book 2. Book 1, on the other hand, it's mostly features. I've been happy with how Book 1's story progression works for quite a while, and I'm doing largely just trying to make it look really, really neat on the 3DS. Like the 3D on the world map, which sadly won't translate to the camera, but it looks really cool. I'll turn it on for you. I'll let you angle that on there. Like
Yeah, that does look pretty good. I like it. I'm not really much of a 3D gamer either.
Yeah, me neither. I'm really trying to be subtle with it. Here, you might be able to see that it's kind of doubled on some things. It'll be fuzzy, but hey, it works.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that?
Features?
Features, yeah. I'm really just trying to make Book 1 the best 8-bit style RPG I can make it. Book 2, there will be new features and new scenes, and we'll be bringing that to every platform we can get it on as soon as this is done. And speaking of Book 1, I think it's a week from today, Book 1 will be coming out on the Vita and PS3 in Europe, finally.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
It took us a while. Brian and I neither one of us are particularly good at international business, so it took us a very long time, and I sincerely apologize to our fans for how long that took, but it's finally happening, and Book 2 will be shortly after that. We'll be adding things like the monsters on maps, although the first version that's coming to the Vita and the PS3 is going to be largely, it's the one that everybody in the US has right now. We wanted to get it in their hands and then do this update later on.
Okay.
Plus, we've got more testing to do on this. So
now, with the 3DS version, do you plan to use any of its social features like Spot Pass and things like that?
Not really. I mean, if anybody's got a really good idea for what we should do with that, I'm all ears. But mostly, I'm interested in getting the game out as it is and giving people something to entertain themselves with. As you can see, those enemies are moving only when I move, so it becomes a very strategic kind of game. And you can really sort of say, like, hey, I just want to get out of this dungeon. I'm not going to fight anybody. You can actually go all the way through this dungeon in particular without fighting anyone if you're sneaky, but you won't gain any experience points, and you'll have a hard time. Oh, also another new feature I forgot to mention. You can recruit all the monsters in all the chapters now. So Ogden can have a party of 4, himself and 3 monsters. It changes the game a lot. It makes it a very new experience, and I think it's super fun. And I'm going to die. There's no way I'm going to live through this. Yep, I'm dead. The long fade out into night.
I see you have the name of the town on the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah. Nobody ever seemed to know that this town was named Jobport, so now people will know.
That's very helpful. I know I had even in Book 2 on the Vita and PS3, I have a hard time like going back to it and then being like, oh crap, where am I again?
Well, we'll be doing the same thing with Book 2 map-wise, and actually, one of the things that I've been wanting to do is I want to have the when the status thing comes down, the little button. I was thinking about having the name of the town there and like your gameplay time just kind of overlaid. So maybe I'll do that. I haven't done it yet, but since you mentioned it, maybe I will.
All right. And before, in the past, we've talked about like the possibility of Book 3. Would Book 3 be like a 3DS release as well as PS4 and PS Vita if it ever comes out?
Well, that's a good question, and it'll depend on business stuff. And my personal preference is always to release on everything, but and I absolutely will eventually. It does take time to do all that porting, but so I don't know. I don't know what the lead platform would be. I don't know how that'll work, and honestly, it's a ways off. I still want to make Book 2 what I envisioned, and I'm not going to stop until that's happened. And then, maybe with cooperation from my my friends at Choice Provisions, where I work now, maybe we'll do a book 3 at some point. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But I personally want to do it. I want to finish the story, and by God, I will. But who knows when?
Right. So once this is all said and done, do you think you would have any plans to do a Wii U version, maybe?
I would love to do a Wii U version. I have a Wii U, and honestly, most of the games I've played this year on my home consoles. I spend most of my time on portables, but my home consoles, I've spent a lot of time playing Wii U games. And I've always been a Nintendo fan. Obviously, Dragon Quest started on Nintendo, Final Fantasy started on Nintendo, so I want to support. So who knows? It just depends on when I have the time and if I've got the equipment for it. So.
Right. And Chapter M, will that also be coming to 3DS?
Yes. Yeah. It's the full game on 3DS, just like it is on every other platform. I don't believe in console exclusive content or selling a version at GameStop that has one thing and then a version at another store that has another thing. I hate that. So I make every effort to include every feature on every platform as best I can. Obviously, the map on the bottom screen, I have no way to bring that to anything else. But the Wii U maybe.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things I'd really love to do, if I ever have the time, is make it so that if you're playing on an iPhone and you pair it with an Apple TV, the iPhone would be like the bottom screen here, and the TV would be the top screen.
And even if you bring it to PS4, you can use the second screen capabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I would really like to bring it to PS4 also, because my PS4 is hooked up to my TV, and my PS3 I have to switch it in. So, honestly, I don't play my own games all day long, but I like to be able to put them on. So I would very much like to have it on PlayStation 4 before too long. Also Xbox One. I just want to bring it to all the parties.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Adam. I guess we'll see you another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, it's Jessey with PS4 Daily, and I'll see you guys later.